Is Joanne safe? Or is she about to be used as the sharpest pawn in Dwight's endgame? Tulsa King Season 3 Episode 9 doesn't just raise the question, it turns it into a time bomb. Dwight flips betrayal into leverage, a bomb attempt into a power grab, and a kidnapping into a calculated opening. If Episode 8 was the setup, Episode 9 is the moment the chessboard snaps into focus. And if you thought Dwight was dangerous when he was reacting, wait until you see him anticipating. Spoilers ahead for Tulsa King Season 3 Episode 9. If you're not caught up, hit pause, binge that episode, then come back. We've got a lot to unpack. We open on the aftermath of Deacon's chaos from last week. The stolen money, the bomb, the assassination attempt at Thresher's fundraiser. That should have been the end of most men, but not Dwight. He doesn't just survive it, he converts it. The crypt scene is the show's thesis for who Dwight is now. Dwight, Mitch, Big Fur, 3 hammers in a room with a nail. Violent? Absolutely. Gratuitous? No. Every punch, every line, every brutal beat serves a purpose. Extract the confession, hold the leverage, flip the power. When that recorder clicks off, Dwight owns more than Deacon's secret. He owns a bargaining chip big enough to move Musso, and by extension, the keys to Montague Distilleries. And that's where this episode separates the old Dwight from the new one. Early season Dwight was still a man stepping into Tulsa like a long-lost uncle, throwing heavy hands, putting out fires, trying to plant a flag in a field of unknowns. Episode 9 Dwight is unrecognizable in the best way. He's not waiting to be hit, he's setting the rhythm, he's setting traps. He's not content to win the fight, he wants the rules rewritten in his favor. That confession tape isn't just a card in his pocket, it's legal leverage, economic leverage, moral leverage. He strong-arms Musso by weaponizing the truth. He uses that pressure to secure what everybody in this world wants, but few can get. A legitimacy, a federal liquor license, the paperwork that turns the street kingpin into a respectable businessman. And he gets it not by petition, but by menace wrapped in manners. Watch how the business board shifts in real time. Montague Distilleries begins to hum. The product is moving, the brand's heating up, the margins are breathing. Meanwhile, Dunmire Distillery starts to wobble. Cole delivers the news to Jeremiah like a concierge walking a tiger through the lobby. Soft voice, careful eyes, hoping not to get mauled. It's one of those quiet scenes that carries the weight of a gunshot, the moment you realize the market itself is taking sides. Dwight isn't just beating rivals in alleys, he's beating them in ledgers. This is what makes him dangerous now. His war isn't just fists and favors, it's spreadsheets and signatures. He's not addicted to revenge, he's addicted to scale. Then comes the variable nobody saw coming. Russell Lee Washington Jr., played by Samuel L. Jackson with that mix of steel and sadness that only he can deliver. Ray sends Russell to kill Dwight, a sentence that would have sounded insane 2 hours of TV ago, when Ray and Dwight look like reluctant allies built out of old respect and shared enemies. But that's gangster math for you. Yesterday's handshake is today's target. Russell isn't a cartoon killer. He's the guy every soldier turns into if he lives long enough to regret his resume. He has a conscience, he has a code, he has a clock running down on both. You can see the arithmetic happening behind his eyes in every scene. Take Dwight out and bide his freedom, or stand down and risk dying on a leash. It's a tightrope he's been walking his whole life, and Episode 9 puts wind on that rope. The New York hitters arriving should have been a random complication. Instead, it becomes a barometer for who Dwight and Russell truly are. They don't overwhelm the assassins with brute force. They outthink them. They use timing, space, and misdirection, because that's what survivors do. You can call it heightened, sure, but it's rooted in the show's core truth. Bodies age, brains sharpen. Dwight and Russell share a rare skill, the ability to judge the angle of a corner and the fear in a man in the same breath. 2 killers in a corridor isn't just an action beat, it's a thesis statement. And the thesis is this: when experience and intent align, chaos becomes choreography. So where does that leave Ray? If he really flipped from ally to adversary this fast, we're in one of 2 worlds. 1, Ray's running a layer cake of tests and traps even Dwight can't fully read yet. 2, Ray's clinging to an old playbook that doesn't work against the Dwight who isn't playing checkers anymore. Either way, Ray's order to Russell is a narrative accelerate. It forces choices. It forces clarity. It forces everyone to show their tells. Dwight is no longer a name Ray can push around from a Bronx office. He's a force field that makes bad decisions ricochet. Let's talk subplots, because Episode 9 keeps serviceable plates spinning while the main course is cooking. Tyson and Spencer's glug scheme is a messy ambition in search of a plan. Raves and random corners, that's not distribution, that's a dare. Watching them try to build a pipeline with duct tape and bravado feels like watching a kid juggle knives. Thrilling, yes, but one wrong toss and someone's losing a finger. The show uses their missteps to echo a point. Empires aren't built on moments, they're built on systems. Dwight understands that. Tyson doesn't. Yet. That yet is why this subplot matters. Either he learns fast, or he becomes a liability that drags real blood into the room. Grace's promotion arc, meanwhile, is a quieter, smarter thread. She's the type of character this show needs to scale. Competent, ambitious, loyal to a point. Every time she steps up, Dwight's machine gets a little tighter. But promotions in this world are double-edged swords. They come with knowledge, access, and resentment from people who wanted the spot. Grace feels poised to become the internal fulcrum of Dwight's empire, the person who can either streamline the operation, or if crossed, tear it from the inside. Elevating her is a great play now. It could read like a loaded gun later. Now, to the heartbeat, Joanne. She's been the softest target in Dwight's orbit for a while, and episode 9 finally cashes that check. Jeremiah kidnaps her. On paper, it looks like a power move. In practice, it's naked desperation. Jeremiah's losing ground. He's watching his operation falter while Dwight's coffers fill. He can't touch Dwight's assets in the open without inviting a war he can't win. So he grabs a person, because you can't counter-leverage a woman you care about with spreadsheets. She's his pressure point. So, is Joanne safe? No. Is she doomed? Also no. She's leverage, and leverage is valuable. Jeremiah doesn't want a body for shock value. He wants a bargaining chip. And Dwight, this is critical, understands the language of leverage better than anybody on this show. He won't pay a ransom without getting something bigger. He won't storm in without an angle. He'll set the terms and the tempo. He'll use Musso, he'll use the confession take, and he'll likely use Russell as the ghost in the wings. If Russell tips his hand and backs Dwight, Jeremiah's move becomes a trigger for his own downfall. If Russell stays on the fence, Dwight's margin for error shrinks and Joanne's risk spikes. But here's the thing. The writing hasn't positioned Joanne as disposable shock value. She's not a device. She's a character. That's why her kidnapping works emotionally and strategically. It hurts and it changes the map. Let's circle back to Deacon's fallout because it's the spine that holds the hour upright. The crypt wasn't just catharsis for everything he pulled in episode 8. It was proof that Dwight understood the assignment. He didn't blow Deacon's head off in a rage and called it a day. He extracted the truth, preserved it, and used it to tie a bow around Musso. That's enterprise-level thinking. That's a difference between a kingpin and a kingmaker. It also sets a precedent. If you cross Dwight, your secret won't disappear. It will be curated, archived, and deployed when it hurts the most. There's a subtle but crucial theme threading through episode 9. Legitimacy as a weapon. The federal liquor license isn't a shiny badge for Instagram. It's armor. It insulates Monteg. It deters raids. It lubricates partnerships. It makes banks return your calls. Dwight knows the law is a tool if you're willing to get your hands dirty to reach it. That's what separates him from Jeremiah, who's still playing whack-a-mole with rivals while his supply chain unravels. The episode's craft deserves its own nod. The crypt sequence is claustrophobic and deliberate. Stone, breath, the muffled echoes of threats that will matter tomorrow morning. The Hitman showdown is kinetic without losing geography. You always know where the doors are, where the bullets are, and where the panic is. That's not just direction, that's respect for the audience. The edit keeps the momentum without sacrificing the character beats. You can feel the oxygen drain from a room when a choice is being made. You can hear the future in the pause before a yes. If we're grading wobbles, the raves as distribution beats veer into TV logic land. The sequences get the point across. Tyson wants to make moves, but they do it in a way that sets off the plausibility sensor. The show is better than that when it sticks to logistics. Warehouses, routes, payroll, safe houses, the unsexy guts of crime that make the exciting parts possible. Even so, the subplot earns its keep by putting Tyson and Spencer on a crash course with reality. When that crash happens, it'll hit harder because we saw the hubris build. Let's talk strategy for episode 10, because episode 9 is the launch pad. Here's the board as it stands. Dwight has Musso in a vice. That gives him room to squeeze for permits, supply, and brand legitimacy. Monteg is surging, Dunmar is spiraling, and Jeremiah is bleeding power. Ray's relationship to Dwight is fractured at best, hostile at worst, and he's outsourced the kill order to a man who might be his least controllable asset. Russell is deciding what kind of old man he wants to be, useful and free, or principled and dead. Tyson is in over his head. Grace is on the rise. And Joanne is the hostage that will decide whether this becomes a war or a rescue. Dwight's next move will be measured and merciless. He'll make contact, set terms, and create a situation where Jeremiah has to give up ground or lose a bargaining chip. Expect Dwight to stage a negotiation that's a trap. Think a meeting place that Dwight controls, backup we don't see until it's too late, a second angle for extraction if diplomacy breaks. If Russell sides with Dwight, he becomes the ace, appearing where the map says nobody should be, doing the thing Jeremiah's people didn't plan for. If Russell hesitates, Dwight improvises. But his improvisation tends to look suspiciously like a plan because he's rearranged enough variables to make chaos favor him. And Ray? If Ray's play was to test Russell's loyalty, he's about to find out he sent the wrong man. If it was to stir chaos in Tulsa to weaken Dwight before a strike, he just added urgency to Dwight's timeline. Ray's mistake is treating Dwight like a problem to be solved. Dwight is a weather system. You brace for him, or you get washed away. Where does this leave Joanne? Alive, shaken, and essential. The show has done too much work building her as more than a prop to discard her now. Her kidnapping reframes her as the line Dwight won't cross, and the line no one else should try. When she returns, and I think she will, it won't be as the woman rescued and placed back on a shelf. It'll be as the person whose safety set the terms of a final act. That tends to grant a character weight in this world. And Jeremiah? He just told Dwight two critical things about himself. He's out of ideas, and he's terrified. A desperate man is unpredictable, but he's